Welcome back everyone to Pinetopia, and we are back here at our on lands, and I got quite a haul from our little expedition there. 13 and a half stacks of prismarine brick, over 4.5 stacks of prismarine, more than half a stack of sea lanterns, and a little over 2 stacks of dark prismarine. I also have half a stack of shards and a few crystals and sponges. Almost a stack and a half of sponges. I was quite surprised when I found the first room that had sponges, and really surprised when I found the third because I didn't realize that you could have up to 3 sponge rooms in a monument, and this one certainly had a good number of them. Now, I did not find any gold. Either the gold is tucked away elsewhere, or I got sponges instead of gold. And frankly, I think that's a pretty good bargain there, unless, of course, it turns out that I don't need the sponges for anything. But if I need to drain any place away, oops, I certainly have the means to do that. Also, during the expedition, I managed to get one more ominous banner, that little trip to the nether where I had some quartz and a little bit more than a stack of netherrack, a couple of name tags, a mending bow, and raw salmon were gained from fishing. So I think it's a decent haul on there. Now, I did the fishing to get some knowledge shells, and I did not draw a single one because if I drew any, they would be down here. But yes, I still hope to get some knowledge shells because I do want a conduit, and I think right over here would be a nice place to put a conduit so that it could be something that could be seen from the temple. I figure that will be really nice. Oh, oh yes, I need to get rid of all that seaweed. I put all this seaweed down in order to help with the turning the water into regular water into source blocks. And now that that's done, I can get rid of the seaweed because it's going to be a nuisance and be blocking my view. So I will get to that. Ah, much better. Though I think I could probably use some coral in order to decorate this area so we have a nice lovely section. And while I was thinking of using sea lanterns for some lighting here, maybe sea pickles would be better because after all, we are dealing with sea creatures and the like. And oh, is it getting dark? Oh, yes, it is. Ah, yes, I did not talk about casualties yet. What did I lose in the course of that little battle with the monument? And the first item being the clock, which is why the late hour reminded me of that. The clock, I think, disappeared during that time where I died, and I managed to recover most of the stuff, but it looks like the clock I did not recover, and I did not recover my coal, but coal's pretty easily replaced. I should be able to make another clock, so that shouldn't be too much of a problem. Anything else I may have lost in that death has completely slipped my mind, so it must not have been anything of great import. Oh, I thought I heard a squid die, so I might as well take care of that. Of course, where I put it is an entirely different matter. And speaking of putting things away, I need to put away this kelp also. The other thing that I managed to lose in this was my helmet. Now, I did get the helmet recovered from the battle, but as you can see, my armor's pretty beat up, and my helmet took a bigger beating than everything else, so it broke during the final battle while doing stuff there. But I think that's a pretty small price to get all this stuff that I have available. No, I need to go clean out my inventory a bit and then we can see what we are going to do for this build. Now let's start using these new blocks. And the first thing I want to do is to take out the cobble that I was using for the foundation. I'm going to replace this with prismarine. So this is going to be our primary foundation that we're going to have all through here. And where I have cobble currently, it'll be mainly replaced by the prismarine. I'm going to use prismarine brick as my primary building block that's going to go through all the walls that we have. Of course, sea lanterns are going to be used in various places to give us lighting, so that'll be my primary light source. Then I'm going to use the dark prismarine as the highlights. I'm going to use that in the corners and also at some intervals in order to give a little highlighting, because otherwise it could look pretty bland, especially in this long stretch on the other side there. We're going to have 10 consecutive columns there where I think a little variation would be nice, and we could use the dark prismarine for that matter. So I have an assignment for each of the block types. Now I'm still not exactly decided what I'm going to do down here. Should I continue the foundation block, or should I go with the prismarine brick? I'm currently favoring the prismarine brick, partly because I like how it looks and partly because I've got more of it. Now let's get all the foundation all the way around here. Now it's not much of a foundation here, I guess, because okay, maybe it's not foundation. It's more of a transitional block in many areas. My plan for decoration here is to use dark prismarine here at the ends, so at each of the endpoints that we have here. That includes the little endpoint we have here at the entrance. So we have a series of 4 blocks, and then at the end of that series of 4 blocks, we have one there. And that's what we're going to do all the way around here, and use prismarine bricks over there. Now, for this long one, the idea I have is to do this 2, 2, 2 like that. Yeah, I think that works. Of course, the real trick is to see how it looks when we actually get to this later on. Apparently, yeah, right. Good grief. That's going to be a real annoyance. Are the merchants that are going to be popping in every once in a while, it looks like. Oh, well, that's something that we are going to have to live with, I guess. Sometimes they're more annoying than the zombies and the like. Well, they can't be more annoying than the creepers, though, because well, creepers, you know how they are. They like to ruin your builds and stuff like that, and that's certainly never anything that one wants. So let's get the rest of these all the way across here. Now, I'll probably have to do some more adjustments once I have all the walls there. First, I want to see what the walls look like. Then I could worry about additional decorations and the like. In looking at this, I've concluded that I do need a cap on top of this that's all dark prismarine. Unfortunately, I'm going to need 84 of that, and I've only got 44. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 34 of that and give myself, right, that'll be 60 slabs. So I'm going to turn that into slabs, as you saw, and use that as my cap, and then I'll use that as an anchor point when I start transitioning into the dome. Well, that was not my intent there. Not the glass scaffolding, idiot. Now, where's Silky? Silky's right here. Good. All right, good. Let's get up here. We're gonna need scaffolding anyway when we start with the serious matter of the dome. There's certainly no way to do the dome without it. But let's go all the way around here, give ourselves a little bit of a capstone, and I think it'll look a whole lot better. Of course, each time I calculate how many blocks I need, I forget about the alcove, and that will make it a little bit more than the 68 I computed. So that means I have a few more left. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I need 8 more then in order to finish it up. Well, fortunately, I do have 4 more of these. I thought it was a little bit of extra, but it's not a little bit of extra. It's, all right, still a little bit of extra, but not as much extra as I had thought. But this should then finish up our cap. And 1, 2, and then there you go. Now let's go and find out how it all looks. And hopefully it'll look nice in the sunset that's obviously getting ready to happen. Ooh, much, 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 much better. And in fact, I think that'll give us a little bit of more interest when we go down into the dome. Which, is that the next thing to do? Or is the next thing I want to do to add a little interest to these walls here? Let's have a look at the dome, then we could worry about the walls. First off, I estimate that I'll be needing 3 stacks of glass in order to make the dome. I have 1 stack in hand. I am cooking a second stack, and I've got sand to cook a third one when that's ready. So perhaps I will have enough for this operation. That's of course assuming that I'm not way off in my count or anything like that. Fortunately, there are other sources of sand around here just in case my calculation is way, way off. Now, as for what I want to do, right now I'm going to start right here and oh yes, I put that little thing there, didn't I? And that means that I'm expecting to go inward immediately, and that isn't exactly a safe assumption here. I may have miscalculated a little bit. I think I figured out a dome that may be a little bit more to fitting with what I'm doing right over here. And even better, I think it'll use a little bit less glass. So it should be a win-win situation, right? Just go in like this. And I'm going to start the first layer just like this. And go all the way around here. And that's where we're going to start our glass section. Now, I suspect that there are going to be some areas where I'm not going to be able to just click everything in there. In that case, most likely what I'm just going to have to do is put in a temporary block and start that as a backbone for the glass. But we're going to start out with a layer like this. So on the exterior, you just see a half step up in the glass. Now, when we get to here, this is obviously not going to be part of the dome in there, so we'll just go across straight over here. And not try to do anything fancy on here, so that'll just be a regular rectangular build type situation there. You know you're having a bad day when you do a quick calculation to determine how many blocks you're going to be needing. In order to make the whole calculation easier, you divide it by 4 and forget to multiply it by 4 again afterwards. So it wasn't 3 stacks. well, I think it might be closer to 2 stacks after shortening the thing that I needed. It is 4 times that. Well, as I said, at least I got a source of sand in the area. It appears somebody's looking to pillage my temple here. I haven't even filled it yet. Oopsie daisy. Time for war! Well, I knocked the banner all the way over there? Whee! Yeah. Alright. Anyone else around here? Yeah. So hopefully that was the only captain there. Well, at least it gives me another banner. Ah. There you go. The second layer is going to be a little bit trickier because we need 2 there. We'll start out here by putting one directly on top of the previous one. So that's not the tricky part, obviously. But right here, we're going to do that. Add one right here. Did I miscount something? Right, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. Oh, 1, 2. Oh, I already did 1, 2 there. Ah, silly me. We only do 1, 2 once. There you go. Let's get rid of that. Well, we'll collect that later. Now, what I want to do after that is I collect that one right there. Then we want to go one more in, and this is where I'm going to be needing a temporary block here. And then once we're into that, we can add another temporary block here. And go in right there. And that's going to be our pattern for the second layer. Then as we go in, they'll go in, until we complete things all the way through. There's our dome so far with 2 more layers to go. I think I need something more to make it interesting. What if I have the top 2 layers green and perhaps also change some of these clear glass that we have all along the top there to green. Not the whole thing, but perhaps a stripe leading down from it. But first I want to make the top 2 layers in green glass and then see what that looks like. And if it looks fine, then I'll probably add some streaks of green to the main section. So the whole thing looks a little bit more interesting because right now transparent glass all the way through is just not interesting. Ah, much, much better. And yes, I am definitely going to be needing those stripes. So I will make a stripe going down each of the 4 cardinal points, 2 wide, and see how that looks. I think that looks much, much better. A little bit more interesting on the dome now that's on top. Now, I still have something I need to do for the wall. Probably have some banners and maybe some decoration in the middle, either some windows or perhaps I can do some sea lanterns so as to have some light coming in there for when it's nighttime. So those are my 2 choices there, but I'll worry about the lighting later since the interior is being lit during the daytime by the sun anyway. But I think that's all we have time for today. Next time, what I'm going to do is I am going to prep up and head back up north, not to the monument, but to a coral sea that I vaguely remember seeing earlier on. I'm going to go to there, see if I could collect some coral and use the coral in order to be a building block for some components of it, especially here, right out here in the exterior. I think a nice coral reef would really go on and make things really look nice. But that's what we'll be doing in our next episode of Piney Plays Minecraft Pinetopia.